Hi and welcome to lesson number 1 of the Orderflow Mastery course by Deep Charts. In this first lesson, we'll first understand what is Orderflow and why you should use it in the first place. So, price candlesticks are a phenomenal tool, okay? Just reading candlestick is already a pretty powerful way to analyze markets if you do it in the right way. Still, just using candlesticks, I personally, objectively think it's just like using a good old bow and arrow, right? Does it work? Yes. Does it still, can you still hit the target? Yes. But it's a primitive tool. It was born in the 1850s. So it has a great legacy, but it's also somewhat obsolete, even though it is still very actual. When you hop onto Orderflow, you're using a ballistic bow, for example. It's the same thing. You can be more powerful. You can be more precise. You can have more tools at your disposal to allow you to make you more precise, hit further targets, hit targets with a much higher accuracy. That's what Orderflow is. That's why we put candles on steroids, how I like to say. Because we want to improve the tools we have in the first place to give us a better informational edge and advantage on most traders. So, can you hit the target with both of these tools? Yes. Absolutely yes. But which one increases your edge? Of course, the second one. So that's the one you should master to begin with. That's why we want to study Orderflow. That's why we want to use Orderflow charts to get an informational advantage. If we are a detective and we do not take into consideration all of the evidence, we could arrive to the wrong conclusions. So you cannot allow yourself as a detective of market to not detect crucial information. That's what Orderflow is. And that's why that's the language you should master. Because we're trying to understand the language of markets, right? And price is the result of that language. It's the verbs, it's the words, it's the verbal part of the language of the markets. But Orderflow is the root. Orderflow is the emotions of the language. Orderflow is the details and the body language. Orderflow is the deeper layer of understanding the language of the markets. And if you are going to be able to master Orderflow, you're going to reach a deeper level of narrative that simply cannot be understood just by looking at price. You can assume it through price. You can guess it through price, sometimes in an accurate way, sometimes not really. So, master Orderflow. Let's make a few examples of the types of Orderflow tools that exist and that you as a member of Deep Chart will be able to use. First one is the footprint chart, and as we call it, the dip print, because it has a vast array of types of visualizations and Orderflow dynamic visualizations that make it deeper than most footprint charts you see. And it basically showcases aggressive buyers on this side, in the green side of the candle, in the right hand side of the candle, and aggressive sellers on this other side, which is the purple part. And all of these aggressive sellers and aggressive buyers have an interaction with passive buyers and passive seller, respectively. So aggressive buyers buys from passive sellers, and you see them here, okay? So here, 88 contracts were bought and sold, okay, at the same time. Because if there's a buyer, there needs to be a seller. So this one is buyers who accepted paying higher prices. These ones are sellers who accepted paying lower prices. And we'll go right deep into what this exactly means very shortly. But I invite you just to look at this, for example, right? This was a candle that went down at first. So we had the open here, and the candle went down, and it found a so-called iceberg order, a wall of orders that no price action trader can even imagine is there. And right after that, you had a huge run to the buy side. These things you cannot see with price action alone. That's why we use footprint charts, because we can see things that are simply not seeable through price. You have a huge seller here trying to push down, but there's a huge buyers blocking that inertia and then pumping right price up with a momentum ignition and shooting market orders in the market and filling the order book and eating it out completely. So this is one of the tools. Another tools is, all of the wide range of volumetric charts. And you get the volume profile, or volume by price, which basically tells you how much volume was traded at every single level of price, either of this session with the session volume profile, or cumulatively in all of the charts that you see, which is the cumulative volume profile. And it's called volume by price because it tells you the total volume of trading activity, buying and selling activity at each level of price. So it indirectly tells you how much money was traded here, how much money changed hands inside of this price range at this specific time. So this is a very powerful and crucial indicator to follow the big money in the markets, because you just know that wherever there's big areas and big trading volume, it's because there's a big trader. If there's thousands and thousands and thousands of contracts all stacked in a single price level, it cannot be a retail. It's probably institutional algorithms getting their fill, right? Or really big traders. So we have them per level of price and also by time. This is volume by time. And volume by time tells us how much participation was there in a price swing. How much activity, how much interest and participation was there in a determined price movement. That's volume by time. And it comes also in a vast array of ways and different visualizations and fashions. Then you have the liquidity heat map, which is another amazing tool that you may know as Deep DOM or Deep Map, that basically showcases passive sellers, so all of the sell liquidity resting in the order book, waiting for an aggressor to come and pick it up. So the market maker liquidity. Okay, this is called the market maker liquidity. We have passive sellers and passive buyers, and we can have a heat map that shows us the historical depth of market, which is, this liquidity, these passive buyers and sellers, also in the past. So it tells us with a heat map which are the areas with the highest level of institutional liquidity, of market making liquidity. There's huge areas with ridiculous amounts of market making liquidity, hundreds, thousands of contracts, layers and stacked, all in a single price range, that price simply cannot go through that easily. And that acts as support and resistance. Same here, a big level of liquidity that as soon as it gets deleted, it's completely ran through. This is other crucial information to take informed trading decisions. Then you have all of the world of volume-based indicators, which are absolutely phenomenal tools like the VWAP that we mentioned, like the CVD, the volume-weighted average price, which is not just an EMA or that type of chart. It is an institutional reference which is widely used as a best execution algorithm and reference. And then you have CVD, which is the cumulative volume delta, which again is a measure of who's more aggressive, who's more passive, okay? So what is behind these tools? Well, a flow of orders, buy and sell orders, aka supply and demand. An order flow chart are a summary of the decisions of market participants. It shows you how and why price did or will do something. And it gives you a clear picture of who's dominating the market auction at a specific time, with a level of clarity and accuracy that price action alone simply cannot provide. It's pure and raw trading data that most retail traders are actively choosing to stay blind to because it's too complicated, and now that's your advantage. Now let's go quickly through some best use cases for order flow. Where is best to use it? Well, for day trading, absolutely yes. For scalping, that's where you can give your best with order flow. For swing trading, not necessarily order flow per se, so footprint charts and short-term order flow liquidity dynamics. But for swing trading, if you are a swing trader, if you want to be and become a swing trader, volume profiles are an absolutely crucial and phenomenal tool to assess which one are the areas with the highest likelihood of having a responsive type of auction that will move price up or down. So if you're a swing trader and you're not using volume profiles, you're missing on a bunch of cool stuff. Now, the best time frames to use order flow are typically, I'm talking about footprint charts and short-term order flow dynamics, of course, the 15-second charts up to the 1 minute, the 3 minute, the 5 minute chart. The more you go up, the more noise you're going to see and the less you're going to be able to take advantage of short-term order flow dynamics, and the more you're going to have to realize that the tool that can help you is actually volume profile. But for short-term time frames, that's when order flow gives its absolute best. Now, the types of asset in which you can read order flow are basically anything that has some centralized exchange, right? So you have futures contracts based on equity indices like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, but also commodities like gold or US oil, or equity indices like FDAX. Then the equity in the stock market, so single stocks, they also provide volume. And the cryptocurrency market, even though as it's traded over the counter in many different exchanges, you have to at least aggregate the volume and the trading activity data from a variety of different exchanges like, Coinbase and Bybit and Binance. You need to put them all together and have them in a single chart, which is something that is going to be delivered in our technologies very soon. And anything that has some level of centralized exchange or that can be aggregated in a way that makes sense is a potential order flow tradable asset class. Now, the types of strategies. You can literally build any type of strategy with order flow, because remember, order flow is a tool, is not a strategy. It is a tool that helps you have a clearer vision and a clearer understanding of current market sentiment and mechanics and pressure and initiative and responsiveness. It's not a strategy in and of itself. It's a tool to build strategies and narratives. And you can use it for breakouts and retests, min reversions, momentum trading, intraday swings, literally anything that is intraday scalping. Orderflow can help you. Now, so get ready, and I will see you. So get ready, whatever type of strategies you use, even if it's a price action strategy, if it's an intraday or scalping strategy, you're gonna find help inside of this course, of this program, of the software. Just take time to learn the language, and you will discover a next level of informational advantage that will help support and facilitate your trading decisions.